What's up, YouTube? I'm Brett from Rants. As always, guys, if y'all enjoy our content, don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment down below. We're on the road to 1,000. We hope you guys will help us get there. All right, so I just got done watching the series premiere of Walker. This isn't going to be our typical review here on Rants where I usually watch it about 2 or 3 times and I get a real good sense of how I feel towards the show. Usually by the time I do the review, I either know I either love it or hate it, and I'm pretty sure y'all can see it in a lot of these videos that I do. But on this one, I'm just going to give my initial reaction, and I'm just going to tell some things that I loved about it, some things I hated about it, and some things I feel like they could work on to improve it. But overall, I really did enjoy this show, and I just want to make that clear from the very beginning. I really did enjoy this show. Was it perfect? Far from it. In fact, I will say the first 5 minutes of it, I was thinking to myself, this is going to be bad. This is going to be really, really bad. The interaction between him and his wife, the interaction when he finds his wife, I don't know, when she gets shot, where he's standing by his car and screaming. I did not understand that. Your wife calls you and she finds, she tells you she's in trouble. You hear gunshots, and then you just casually just kind of walk out of a room and stand by your truck and scream like you're a Texas Ranger. You knew the route that she was on. Go find her. What are you doing, man? Like, that just, when I saw that, I was like, okay, I don't know if I'm going to like this show. But it got a lot better as it went on. There was some things about it that kind of felt like they did a lot of this, what you say, you'll hear people say about usually authors, show me, don't tell me. I kind of feel that way with this show when it come to Mickey. I felt like there was a lot of dialogue that was kind of in there telling us about the character when they could have just had a scene where they kind of showed us about this character, about instead of going through this whole long 2 or 3 paragraphs worth of dialogue where it's just her telling about, oh, my family isn't going to be for me being a law enforcement agent during this time where, I guess, I don't know, law enforcement agents or, ICE agents or whatever. I don't know exactly where that was going with it. But it was long enough that I was like, I don't care. You could have showed her mother coming in and maybe, I don't know, talking to her at her house or her boyfriend or just something along those lines that could have told us that while showing us, instead of her going through that whole long narrative about why her family is not in favor of her being a police officer, or a Texas Ranger, I should say. So I didn't enjoy that aspect of it. I thought Mickey and Cordell really had some connection problems. I don't know, Mickey, I want to love Mickey. I really, really want to love the character of Mickey. The actress that plays her, what is her name? Lindsay Morgan. Lindsay Morgan. Okay. I was a huge fan of her on the 100. In fact, she was one of my favorite characters. I thought she was one of the more interesting characters on that show. And one of the characters that was good from really beginning to end on that show, which is saying something because I didn't think that happened very often. But overall, she was kind of really a smart aleck on this show. She goes from saying, she first really introduction where her and Cordell meet as partners. She really is kind of comes off kind of in the smarty way of don't ruin this for me. I've know all this stuff about you, and then she's like, well, I know you're a distinguished Texas Ranger, but don't ruin this for me. Like, what are you kidding me? Like, this is your first day on the job, and you're telling a Texas Ranger that is a legend on the job to not ruin it for you. I think you should be worrying about that on your own. Don't worry about him. Worry about you. I kind of felt like where they were trying to make um, Cordell Walker just a little bit edgy. I kind of felt like it didn't come off right. I kind of felt like he wasn't really that edgy, but they were trying to make it seem like he was, I don't know, out of control. And he really was actually just kind of behaving like a normal human being would do. Like when that guy was resisting arrest and spit in his face, and he's just kind of throws him, on the thing, arresting him, kind of slamming him down, but arresting him. It really wasn't even that, like it wasn't like he was taking his head and slamming it against, something. It wasn't like those moments. It was just kind of, I don't know. I kind of thought it was just really off how they were trying to make him like he was some kind of like firecracker, and where he's like, he's a man on a mission, but he didn't really come off as that way. I enjoyed Cordell Walker's interaction with his family a lot more, and well, let me put it this way: I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it with his family, but then I also hated the his interactions with his children at the same time. Like, I enjoyed his interactions with his mom and his dad. I thought they were fabulous in this show. I cannot wait to see more of them. They're going to be some really, really good characters. Liam, his brother, I thought really did a good job, except for one scene. And it was just, to me, so cringeworthy that I barely could even watch it. I mean, it just come out of nowheres. And it was that scene where Cordell goes and he meets Liam out on the porch, and they're just talking, and he's moving that little poker chip, and then he's like, they start on his dead wife, and I'm just like, that. Where did this come from? Where did the poker chip? Where did any of that come from? Like, it wasn't. I don't remember any of that being detailed in any of the previous statements. Like I didn't see where that kind of come from. It just seems so out of ordinary for what the episode was doing. I was really worried when I was looking at the previews of this show, thinking, well, this show is going to be all about Cordell Walker trying to overcome the death of his wife, and but it actually didn't have very much to do with it on at least episode 1. There was that initial scene, and then there was that scene of him with his brother, and of course that guy, that bad guy that spits on him, makes that comment about his dead wife. But beside that, there wasn't like a whole list of grievances I had with that. It just played out like a normal cop show would, like almost like a normal version of Walker Texas Ranger would have played out even in the old days. So I mean, I enjoyed. I'm all right. Let me just put it this way: I'm glad that it was that way. I'm glad it's not all about his dead wife and about him sitting around grieving. Did I think there was sometimes Jared Padalecki maybe was a little kind of like his partner, where he was just a little bit too sarcastic, that it kind of come off as unnecessary. Yeah. But I enjoyed the moments with his children. I'm looking forward to seeing more about like I said, him and his family, and I'm wanting to see a little bit more um, interaction and less back and forth between him and Mickey. I feel like they're talking to each other, but they're not really talking to each other. She's more just telling him how it's going to be, and him just making some kind of like sarcastic um, moment back to him. I really enjoyed Mickey's boyfriend. I didn't catch his name, but I really thought he played a good role. I would like to see him more as a main character because I thought he did a real good job. Maybe learn a little bit more about his past in the army and the medic field. Get to know a little bit more about him in that way. Um, but as far as I felt like Mickey didn't have very much layering to her. I thought she'd come off as a little bit too smart alecky. I thought Jared Padalecki did a fabulous job. I thought Jared Cordell Walker's parents were great. I thought his kids did an okay job. His brother Liam is going to be a really good person on this show. Like I don't know, you can tell he's just a good actor in general. Um, I enjoyed the setting of it. I enjoyed kind of the country feel along with the Austin, Texas feel. You know, if you've ever been to Austin and you ever been to, or just Texas in general, you know that you've got a really good mix of that here in Texas. You know, it's not, you know, when people come to Texas, they automatically think, you know, a bunch of cowboys and things like that. But actually, Texas is made up of a lot of cities, like some of the biggest cities in the United States. And so there's a good interaction when you're like in Austin of that city feel along with that country feel. And I thought they did a great job about it. Beautiful, beautiful areas that they were at. I mean, the backgrounds were just gorgeous, whether it was houses or whether it was the countryside. It was just, I loved the feel of it. Like, really had this nice down home feel. I was really glad that they didn't go with the whole Chuck Norris vibe with the whole going around and kicking everybody in the face. This is your normal Texas Ranger show where you're going to get a lot of fist fights and you're going to get a lot of, you know, shooting, but you're not going to get any of that black belt junk that was so prevalent in the original Walker Texas Ranger that made it kind of cheesy. Overall, I just enjoyed a lot of this. This episode, like I said, it's got a lot of great things going for it. It wasn't heavy on his dead wife. It really played into let's go right straight into this this case. Like it had a really nice thing. Maybe it went a little bit too fast at times into it. I would like to have known what took 10 months for him to be undercover over. That just seemed like a little excessive, and I get it. These guys are undercover for a long time, but you know, when it showed on the screen, 11 months after his wife had died, and he had been gone for 10 months, that seemed a little excessive. You know, it kind of makes you, you know, I get it. They've kind of hinted on it a little bit. Liam and Cordell's mom and dad really took over the role as parents for these children. But I felt like they maybe could have gone a little bit more in depth about what kind of a undercover job he was under. Maybe they'll get to that later on in an episode, but you would think that the children would even be asking, hey man, you know, what took you so long to get back? Why would you do that? Take a mission that took so long, like this undercover work. I don't know if this had to do with his wife's murder or if this had to do with a case that was just completely separate from it. But overall, I just felt like there just wasn't enough information about it. like I said, this show has a lot to work on. A lot to work on. I want to see from this point out more of a show me, don't tell me attitude. Um, Less long dialogue, going into things. Didn't really enjoy the whole social justice aspect of it. I mean, there was a look. If you're going to put in a show, that's fine. But the way they kind of put it in it was just kind of really blatant and kind of almost disrespectful to a lot of different people. I feel like it's like okay, when you find out Liam's gay, it's like they go out of their way to put that in there, like with this comment towards it. I kind of felt like that was a little bit disrespectful to Liam's character. That they just are like, okay, this guy's gay. I get it, he's gay, but what else is there about him? There was so much to Liam. He was great in all of his scenes. Like I didn't understand why they were trying to. It kind of just felt like they were trying to make that into, hey, this is Liam and he's gay. Well, why can't it just be he's Liam? And, something along those lines. But they had to put that scene in there, and then they put in that scene where Cordell Walker's father says, she's off with her Mexican friend, and he's like, and Liam has to put in Mexican American friend. And I was like, okay, that's a little bit excessive. Like you could tell they're really trying to hit on those progressive notes on this, and some of it just was off about it. I thought Mickey's character on this, when she's talking about about her Latino heritage, I kind of felt like that was great. But then when she was just trying to make it like somehow if you're a Mexican that you can't be a cop or something. Like I didn't really understand what she was trying to say. Like somehow she felt like she was going against the norm, or like there wasn't Mexican cops. I was like, okay, I guess she hasn't been to Texas before because like I see it all the time. In fact, I would say probably there's a good like 40 to 45% of all cops in Texas are probably of Mexican origin, but or at least Latin American origin of some form or fashion. But I just kind of felt like that was just a little bit pushed. But hey, this is the CW. They're going to try to push that. I just always, for me, it's not that it annoys me. It's just I kind of feel like they're almost kind of disrespectful to the characters that they are trying to be inclusive to. Like if they've got an African American character, like take Legends of Tomorrow. Well, they've got to go back to the 1960s or the 1860s or whatever to somehow deal with slavery or segregation or something along those lines, because they have this African American character. Like CW always tends to do this with their characters. It's like they never just let their characters be natural and just let it be, it's not an African American, it's not, Mexican American, it's not gay, straight, whatever. It's always got to, it's they won't just let that character be that character. They have to make that character that primarily, and you have to constantly be about that and not about just being a normal human being like everyone is. Like no one goes around constantly talking about their sexuality or their what gender or what race they are. Most people aren't so fascinated in it. Most people are more complex characters than that. I enjoy seeing more complex characters about it. You can have let me just put it this way: you can have characters that are that way, but make them more layered a little bit. Like, don't just make them just that. Please don't make Liam just the gay brother. Make Liam the interesting brother of Cordell Walker. Like, I pray that they do that. I just always worry with the CW because I know the CW is really bad about supposedly being inclusive, but then at the same time being disrespectful to the people that they are being trying to be inclusive to. That's the way I look at the CW when it comes to that. But overall, I just want to say I would give this episode. I want to give it too high of a rating. I'd say probably about 6.5 out of 10. I thought it was good. I thought it had a lot of things it needed to work on. I'm looking forward to future episodes of it. And you know what? I think it's going to build into a really good mystery, a really good cop show. Maybe even surpass the original Walker Texas Ranger, but we'll still have to see on that one. The verdict's still out. Let's just put it that way. I'm not going to say I love it or hate it yet. I'll just say the verdict is still out for me. But I am looking forward to future episodes. But as always, guys, thanks for watching, and